Welcome back to another book club episode. This is Stuck with the podcast, filtering Palm Wine Central podcast, a book club. I'm here with, I'm Uncle AK, by the way. I'm here with Therese, Barbara, and Nora. Shout out to Mane and Josie. There you go. Shout out to Mane and Josie, man. They couldn't join us today. You guys missed a very fun one. So we're gonna hold it out for you guys. I'm pretty sure we're gonna miss Manners. Bringing in other books here to relate to this one. I wish I had that today. I really wanted to see how she would draw correlation to this book today, because I really envy how she'll be doing that stuff, man. In 2022, she'll be talking about a book in 2022 and 2026 that she read. I don't know how she does that, but we're gonna miss you in this one. But let me start running out. Tonight, we are deep diving into one of the most talked about psychological thriller of the last few years. And shout out to Barbara for each person on the panel gets to pick out a book that we read each month. So we have 12 books that we read in a year. And this month, Barbara suggested The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Is that how you guys will say it? Michaelides. A book that turned a murder, a marriage, and a total silence into a full-blown Greek tragedy for the age of therapy and true crime. Alicia shoots her husband 5 times in the face and then never says a word after that. And into that silence walks Theo Faber, a psychotherapist who swears he's the only one who can make her speak. In this episode, we are going full spoiler mode to unpack the twist, the unreliable narrations, and the Alcestis myth, and the messy psychology underneath it all. So if you haven't finished the book yet, hit pause now, because from here on out, nothing is off limits. Or you could be reading as we talk about it. Either way, we're still going to talk about it. Hopefully we don't spoil it for you, but there's going to be a lot of spoilers if you've not read the book. Without further ado, Madam Barbara, you're the one who gave us the book now, so it's only right that you give us a short, brief summary intro, and then we'll get to start unpacking. So over to you. The Silent Patient pretty much is a psychological thriller that talks about, it follows the story of 2 separate individuals that are different characters in the book, but the entire book is that we're trying to figure out why they have this patient who is in a mental home, but just for whatever reason refuses to talk. And we have the psychologist who is bent on making her talk, but you cannot really tell the reason. You couldn't tell it throughout the book. He had a love obsession with her, or he truly wanted to help her, but what was the reason? And the finale of the book just gives it all. So I'm so excited for us to dive into the different characters, and just everybody's opinion or the thought process when we got to the last part of the book, and we'll figure out who actually was the murder suspect, because I did not see it coming. So Thank you. Therese, if you had one word or reaction, right, to describe this book from the start, just the start and the end, if you had one word to describe it, not what goes on between, but just the start and the end, what would you say?
One word for both, or one for each?
One for each, and then both. If you can do that one.
The beginning, I would say slow. At the end, I would say unexpected. That's it. If there's a word that can convey unexpected with higher intensity, then I would use that. And then both of it, I would say a well-written story. Well, you said one word, but
yeah, that's fine. We'll go with that. A well-written story. Yeah, it's only February, the last day of February, and we have so many books to go. Do you feel as though there are other books? Well, from last year, do you feel that were there books that you read that the storyline was a lot much better than this one in terms of the narration and how it was written?
I would say, yeah. I've read books that had like unexpected endings, but this one, was even more intriguing because it was a psychological thriller. And so that suspense built in a lot more quicker than with, I think I would say, with maybe a romance novel or just a novel about everyday life. So
yeah, gotcha. Okay, Nora, did you read this book sitting or standing?
I started it out sitting because I had the physical book. Then my library loan ran out, so I had to return it. Then I was able to get it on audio. Then I was driving and doing a little bit. So it was on every angle. It was all over the place, and it was good too because I don't even know when like the moment hit me. I don't know what I was doing, but I was like, whoa. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I do agree with you. It was a good one. I was actually reading this book while working out, and at some point, I found myself actually stopping my workout and scratching my brain, like, "Hey, yo, what's going on right now?" Or something will happen, and I'll just pause for a second. I'll go, "What did I just like? What are you?" Anyways, yeah, it was definitely a good one. I definitely recommend everybody to pick this up if you don't like thrillers. I mean, if you don't like reading thrillers, especially if you've never read a psychological thriller before, yeah, this is definitely a good treat for you. So, Barbara, you who recommended the book, right? Did you try to outsmart this book while you were reading it? I said, try to guess. Yeah, learning from other books, you've probably tried to guess the storyline before it finished. And if you try to do that in this book, how were your results?
Oh no, it failed. It failed tremendously because let me tell you, I really thought the psychologist Theo, which we're going to dive into his character, I thought he was in love with Alicia. That was the main reason. He was just obsessed with her because he was an artist. I did not see that coming at the end. Like, I had no guesses. At some point during the book, I thought she was actually making it up that she saw somebody standing outside her window. I did not. My guesses were like completely off. Now, when I read it the second time, it was quite interesting because things started clicking. I was like, oh, that's why he said that. Oh, that's what he meant. But your first time reading the book, for me, there was no way for me to figure out who was who or who was doing what. The author was like amazing in that way that he just kept us intrigued and in suspense. And it's like you're forced to keep reading because you wanted to see what's going to happen. So,
yeah, speaking of that, yeah, the book is packed with so many. I mean, if it was an action movie, right, there are so many different scenes that could either one take you to what's really happening and you actually making that guess, or two, just losing you completely, and you all the way 75% in and still wondering, what's really going on? So with that, T,
I can give you one better, Uncle AK, before you proceed. Mm-hmm. The book is written like if you've watched How to Get Away with Murder, Shonda Rhimes. The book is written just the way that show was produced.
Yes.
I've never watched it, but I'll take your word for it.
It's so many layers. You don't know who is doing what, and who you think was doing it was not the person though. Yeah. It's
just each character you think is a person that's a murderer, but as the character unfolds, you're like, oh no, it's not. Then this next person, oh maybe it's it, but it's not. So it's kind of like it just keeps you in suspense, and it's like you're intrigued. You just want to keep reading and going to the end. So
yeah. So real quick then, starting with you, Barbara, who did you suspect the most in this book?
Gabriel's brother. I don't remember his name.
The lawyer.
Yeah, not sure. I forgot his name.
Yes, Gabriel's brother. I was convinced it was him who killed his brother out of jealousy because one, he was adopted. Two, he was actually in love with Alicia to the fact that his wife knew. So at the end, I was like, he is the one. I am convinced he was the one that was stalking her, and he was the one that was killing her. And I did not see that at the end. So Gabriel's brother was the person I was putting my money on. Yeah, the cousin at some point, but Theo was not on it. I did not see Theo on it. Theo was like the last person on that list. But Gabriel's brother, yes, that's the person with the money on.
Nora, what about you?
Like the museum curator, her frenemy, I thought it was him. I was like, he did it. She was gonna leave. He needs his money. He's not a true artist. Oh my gosh, I would have just bet it was that Jean-Philippe or whatever the heck his name is. I just knew it was him.
Poor Jean-Philippe. T, this is a better question for you. Who unsettled you more, Alicia or Theo, and why?
I think Theo, because throughout the book, I'll say it started with Theo, because as the book developed, I had more information on Theo's life than I did Alicia's. And then she started settling me. Well, I wouldn't say she made me unsettled. I was just curious about how her life unfolded. But I'll say Theo. For a psychotherapist, he did some very questionable things.
That's very true. I concur to that. As a psychotherapist, like, first of all, is even allowed to fall in love with your patient, talk about your patient in that manner. But we're gonna get into it. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. When did you first start to really doubt Theo? Back to you, Therese, since you were talking about Theo. When did you really start doubting in this book?
When he accidentally stumbled on his wife's emails. It just went downhill from there. Everything he did after that was like, I think they should have locked him in a room right next to Alicia's right after that scene, because he stumbled on emails on his wife cheating. He kind of zoned out, walked all the way unknowingly to his former therapist and mentor's house. She gave him the advice. He went and did the complete opposite, covered everything up, and still stayed. Like, to me, that in itself, I was like, hell no. Take his license, take everything. This guy is not okay in the head.
Barbara, did you ever see Theo as a genuine healer? Since we're speaking of, him being a psychotherapist, did you ever see him as a genuine healer, or always just a patient himself? That's the right word, a patient himself.
Oh no, Theo was 100% a patient, because at the beginning, right, when they did the interview, he didn't say straight up. He didn't become a psychotherapist to help anybody. He was trying to heal himself. That's why he became a psychotherapist. And so he was just bullshitting his way throughout the entire process. So he was 100% a patient, and he still did not relieve or fix whatever traumas that he had. And so every experience that he had, even in college or anywhere else, just triggered his past. So he himself was on a healing journey, and in his mind, he was convinced that, well, now I cannot say that right now, but he was so convinced that if he heals Alicia Barrington, he's eventually going to heal himself, and he was finding his healing process through his interaction with his patient. So he was 100% a patient, and he knew that he was a patient. Now I think that was the nice thing about him. He realized that he was a patient. So the
guy's name you're talking about is Max. Max. So Max. What was your take about Max? Nora, Gabe's brother. What was your impression of him?
The fact that he was adopted kind of made me feel like he just had issues of his own. And I thought he was guilty too. I really thought everybody was guilty. I was trying to figure out who it was from the get-go. Everything that they brought for everybody, I thought he was guilty. But my main reason was just because he married like the pretty receptionist after, even though he was in love with Alicia, and he was just being really rude. And the fact that he got his brother's like inheritance, it was just all types of fishy. I just thought it was him too, as well as Jean-Philippe or whatever. Everybody was guilty to me, but I really didn't like the brother. I didn't like him at all. I really didn't like him.
Were you reading this book with a little touch of feminism?
Like the least feminist person in the world. I don't care about none of that stuff, honestly. But it just seemed like all the men, it was just, at this point, it was, all the men had issues, It was the men that had the issues. The therapist really tried to give Theo some advice. He didn't take it, messing up everything. The only woman that was also crazy was like the old auntie, but she was old, so she's not guilty. She can't go anywhere. She's like this big fat lady. So, all the men had issues. So no, there was no feminism in this at all. It just seemed like all the men were. All the men were just crazy in this book.
I'm like, you can't even read the book of feminism at all, because it's just you go from the different characters, the women, you look at it's clear as day. Like everybody just had problems. From the wife, from Theo's wife, to Theo. You couldn't put Theo's wife as the killer because she and Alicia really never crossed paths. And so she was the one person that I couldn't pinpoint. I thought she activated Theo Faber's craziness. But everybody from the family members, everybody was a suspect because everybody wanted something from Alicia. That's the thing. She was everybody. There was something that they wanted from her. And when she did not give it to them, they were moving mad. Even the neighbor, Barbie. Funny enough, her name was Barbie. Yes, the neighbor. Even the neighbor at one point in time was suspect. Just how she loved Alicia and how she was a gossip. That one too.
Hey, girl.
Yes. So everybody was a suspect in this book. So you could not even read it with like a feministic mindset at all.
As far as the growth, the mental institute that Alicia was being taken care of, who did you believe as far as staff is concerned, and who did you not, Therese?
Oh, Christian was on my number one suspect list for sure. The other, Christian was a therapist. He wasn't a psychotherapist, but he was a therapist at the institution. And he had worked with Theo at another place, and then they had a whole issue. Mind you, by the time they introduced Christian, Theo was sane in the membrane, So there was no reason to suspect Theo at this point. But I'm like, if he has a problem with Theo, or for sure he's a bad guy. And then he was just opposing every treatment suggestions that Theo was making for Alicia. And I'm like, does he not want this woman well? Like, why is he opposing everything? And why did they fight? Why did they not get along at their previous organization? And it was just too much. I was like, yeah, Christian, I don't know. Somebody keep an eye on him.
See, Christian, there was a reason why he didn't want Alicia stable, though. He didn't want her. It was just like, it was very intriguing. Like, his character, there was a reason why he didn't want it. Because of what he has done before. Remember at the end when Theo eventually got him fired, but that was the main reason why it made sense now at the end why he did not want Alicia. He did not want to heal her at all. See, everybody just wanted something from this woman.
Speaking of Alicia, Barbara, is her silence powerful or powerless to you?
It was very powerful because it was a statement on its own, just by itself. The fact that she was refusing to speak, those were reasons. I guess that's what made the book so intriguing, and that's why everybody was so intrigued by her in the book and just as a character overall. Why wouldn't she speak? It doesn't matter what, like, was she guilty? Did she actually kill her husband? Or was she just so traumatized that she cannot just bring herself to relieve that? And so I was so curious. Her silence was actually, to me, was a very powerful statement. And at the end, when they actually explained the painting, the Alcestis painting, when Theo was able to go back and research the painting and see what it meant, then you can understand why she was actually quiet. So her silent, the title of the book fits the character, that she was a silent patient, but there was a reason behind her silence. And yeah. I want a second part of the book, but
Nora, do you feel sympathy for her, even though she killed Gabriel, her husband?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. She's a murderer. That it's kind of like one is outside of the other. Whatever. She's a murderer. But when Theo was able to unpack her life story, to kind of see that something just happened, something that traumatizing happens to you for a second time. Your reason behind it, there's no justice. Well, I don't know. Maybe there is justification for murder, but that's not for me to say. But I do feel bad for her. That lady has been through a lot. Everybody wanted something from her, and then for that particular dire moment, I felt bad. I really, really felt bad. I felt like, people with money, they be going through stuff. They really do. She had all this money, came from this rich family. All of them had issues. And then after that, you try to find somebody who, quote unquote, loves you unconditionally. In her diary, she starts off with, Gabriel's my heart. I love him so much. He takes good care of me. But then see where that gets you. So it was really sad.
Right back to you again, right? Since you mentioned that, do you feel as though your childhood trauma excuses what you do as an adult?
No, absolutely not. But if you don't work your way through it, anything can be a trigger, right? Especially something as big as what happens to this lady. But yeah, that's why all of us are over here trying to heal these days because you don't know what's going to push you off the edge. Definitely, there's still things that happened to me when I was young that if the wrong thing appears, I might just act up. So definitely, every action has a reaction. It doesn't matter how many years go by. There's always going to be something that could push you, for sure.
Okay. See, what do you think to that?
Nothing excuses anything, in my opinion, right? But it does provide understanding. It does give us, it gives us insight into what you're dealing with. That way, it's easier for us to empathize when something happens to a person, right? Is it an excuse? No, but even if you cannot help it, it's still not an excuse. If you go and you kill somebody because of your childhood trauma, your ass is still going to jail. They'll treat you in jail, but you're going away. So, I mean, yeah, it's true. If you never deal with these things, adults are just kids in older bodies. That's all it is. So,
Okay. Barbara, speaking of that, what's the name of that? Oh, the growth. There you go. Speaking of the growth, right? Did the therapy scenes feel like real mental health work, or did it feel like a TV, psychiatry? Being that T mentioned on, what was that thing you mentioned? T, How to Kill a, sorry, what was that TV show? How to Get Away with Murder. There you go. How to Get Away with Murder. Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
You mean the psychiatric, that whole scene in there? Did it feel real? You said,
yeah,
it's pretty real because if you've ever worked in a psych hospital, actually, I have not. I did one rotation there. I don't know if they have psychotherapists. I think they have psychotherapists and they have psychiatrists, but the medication doses were a little bit crazy to me. We're talking about how much risperidone they put that woman, and I'm like, I kind of need to talk to this psychologist because we need to talk. What are you trying to kill her? But when the story unfolds, you understand why the man did put her on such a high dose, that medication. There was a reason, there was a rationale behind, because he never wanted a woman to talk because of what he was going to say. And so in terms of it being reality, I say it's a yes and a no in a sense. Because I don't know, it depends on the different institutions. I haven't worked in an institution to tell you that yes, it's a real life versus it's not.
So to your point, let me go rogue a little bit. To your point, you mentioned on the medication he put her on. I mean, he's not the killer. He didn't think in his mind he was the killer to be dosing her that much. So to your point, how is it that, what is that you said? How is it that he's overdosing her, knowing fully well that he has nothing to do with the killing?
So the reason Christian put Alicia on such a high dose of risperidone, he wanted her severely sedated. Yeah, she was very suicidal. That's very true when they came in. But there was a reason why he wanted her sedated. He had treated Alicia unlicensed before outside the hospital, and that could have affected his license and his reputation as a psychotherapist or a psychologist. He never wanted that to happen. He has done something to her. And so if he keeps her sedated, she's quiet, she cannot talk, she's never going to remember these things. Because it fogs your mind. If you look at what risperidone is for you to take 16 milligrams every day in addition to other meds, yeah, you're not going to be walking around. So it fogs her mind. And so she was never going to have an opportunity to say that. So he was afraid. She probably wasn't going to because he did not. But there's something about guilt, right? He was guilty of what he has done. And so that guilt was just eating him. And because he did not know, or he couldn't control the situation, or did not know what to expect, he just acted. And his way of acting was keep her sedated. As the story unfolds, you're like, okay, so this is why he wanted her quiet.
I don't think I got that from the story. I don't think that was my understanding of him giving her the meds,
That was my understanding too. The fact that if she has decided that she's not going to talk when she comes in, right? She is suicidal. We get that. But if somewhere along the line somebody comes to treat her and she decides that she does want to start talking, she's going to unravel all of her things. She's going to unravel the fact that there was once a time where Gabriel and I were not doing great. My dad died. I tried to commit suicide. So I went and I spoke to this random guy that my husband forced me to talk to. That would be him. And apparently that happened more than once. That happened 2 times. So, and the fact that in in all this health issues, you're supposed to do things with your license. You're supposed to report it if you make, because he got paid for it.
He got
And
paid?
he didn't file his taxes with that. He just took that money and kept it pushing. So that's the point. That's the government got none of this, and they're supposed to. So that, yeah, to me, that was his main point of she doesn't need to come out of this. She doesn't need to remember that we even have anything going on at some point. Yeah, that's definitely what I got from it too.
See, my conspiracy goes the other way, right? Because I think it was the brother-in-law who brought Christian to Alicia and stuff, where she ended up when she tried committing suicide the first time, right? I'm thinking
No.
wasn't
No.
through the brother-in-law?
No.
But hold
Went
on,
to
though.
school.
The brother-in-law was aware that he
Yeah.
had been suicidal, and they had brought the doctor in, and he was Christian, to treat her, right? But then they had to keep it hush hush, in my opinion. I'm thinking he didn't want to say anything because they didn't want it to show that, okay, if they come to find out why did she commit suicide, well, he assaulted her. The brother-in-law assaulted her. That story was gonna come out, right? And then it would show pity, but he wanted her to go down for the brother's murder so he can keep the inheritance. So he did. Christian was hiding because he did his own thing. So my conspiracy is both of them just had like a working agreement. That's why Christian never mentioned that, it was not in her chat anywhere that she had tried to commit suicide before. Even the brother-in-law, nobody said it, but I feel like him and Christian had an agreement that, okay, we both have stakes in this thing. We rather just not mention. If you keep her sedated, I'll keep my mouth shut. And that was I feel like that was the agreement. And even when he tried to let me talk to the brother, Christian was opposing about the whole thing. So I'm thinking, okay, the two are in cahoots. Maybe not at the beginning, but it's both our interests that she stays quiet. I
thought Christian was Gabriel's friend. That's who.
Yeah.
Yes. So the link was never Max. It was always Gabriel. Christian went to school with Gabriel.
Yeah, so but he was aware though.
No, Christian knew. But Christian, because
not Christian.
Max knew, yes. Because Max did not remember.
And part of the reasons why she was in that situation, he was one on the list.
Well, the reason she committed suicide was because her dad died. That was
tried.
Yeah, that was why.
Was it not all the incident and him assaulting her and everything?
He assaulted her. That's but the reason that suicide was because the father died, and when the father died,
I knew that the father died about that, but I'm thinking it's the accumulation of everything that she was just okay. Then her father died, and he was like the last straw for her. Like, what else?
Everybody literally needed her sedated. Like, it was in everybody's best interest for her not.
It was so, but mostly because Christian got paid, number one, and Christian was prescribing her medications that he had no business to. So if you're looking about your license, that should put your license, and you could lose your license, which was what Theo used to threaten him with. That I'm going to report you to the board, and they're going to take your license away, which was his biggest fear.
For me, I understood the whole Christian thing a little bit different in the sense that she comes in, and if any other patient in there tries to talk to her or tries to rattle her, she will go straight at that person. You know what I mean? If you try to interfere in any of her things, she will try to go straight at that person. So that's why he put her on heavy medication. So she should not try to kill somebody else while she was in there. It had nothing to do with whether he had seen her before or whichever, because again, in his mind, he's not a suspect in this murder. So there was no reason for him to go out his way to try and cover this up. Not until this other guy comes in and Theo, I think that's his name. And he starts asking all these questions. I'm going, bro, you're not no detective. You're a psychotherapist. It's two different things. And then you're going about asking all these people, all these questions. And in my head, I'm going, where is your badge? You're not a police officer, bro. Sit in your office and matter of fact, I was even happy that it cocked him in the head, with a baseball bat, which I'm like, there you go, that's your lesson. But no, Oga kept going. As far as this Christian part, now, you seeing her and not saying something, sure. But to just go out the way and all of a sudden accuse him that he's doing X, Y, and Z for that. Yeah, that's like.
But see, that's the beauty, and I understand that point of view that you bring, but that's the beauty of how the author wrote the story, right? He wrote the story. It was not until the end that you realize why he was keeping her that sedated. But as the story unfolded, we had no reason for why the only reason that was presented was that she was aggressive.
Yes,
that was the only reason. It was not literally till the very end that we figured out that, oh wow, this is why he had been insisting on a higher dosage to just keep her docile so she doesn't do anything. But when at the beginning of the writing, I think it was intentional by the author to make it seem that way. That way, when the plot twist comes, you don't see, like, there's no link. And then Theo was suspicious of Christian because he knows his history, but nobody else did at the Grove. So that's why he was insisting, can we lower her dosage? Because he knows that knowing Christian, he's probably overdosing her because of their history. Not knowing that he's trying to do that for his own profit, and Christian was doing it was just a lot.
Yeah, 60 milligrams of that's crazy things. Because even the chief psychotherapist was like, oh yeah, that's such a high dose. Because I was just like, that's crazy work. And the nice thing is the way the author did, right, before we figure out who Theo was, I actually thought genuinely that he cared for Alicia, and he really was asking those questions, not trying to be a detective, because he wanted to understand. Because that's how you understand people. He asked questions. I'm trying to get to know her as a person. It was like, and I was like, so that's not what you were asking those questions.
I actually thought it was genuine, but then I thought there was a hint. I thought there was a hint of him trying to be like the psychotherapist of the year, breakout story, right? Because she had not spoken for 3 years, was it? And I felt like he wanted a feather on top of his achievements to say he was the one who broke the silent patient, because people knew that she wouldn't talk.
Yeah,
but at some point,
all of that jargon. So I was really rooting for Theo.
So wait, let me ask a question. So if you're a psychotherapist and you want to know more about your patient, your very next decision is to become detective?
The patient you want to know is not talking to you now. What do you want?
So that's the very next thing to do. Hear my question. Your very next thing to do is to play detective. You're a psychotherapist, not a detective, but your very next thing to do, in your logical mind, the school that you went to become a doctor is to go and become a detective. Leave your office. You have no training of whatsoever going around. And then you leave your office and go, and you are meeting all these different people, not knowing what to expect, how to even, and that's logical, being that you
know it's not. See, I was okay when he went to Max. I was like, okay, this is fine, Max and her friend. But when he started going to the cousin's house, the auntie, I was like, okay, now you're just doing a little too much.
But in all that, it helped us understand where ultimately her crazy came from. For us, the people, yeah, that made sense.
It made sense to me, because I saw it, like, I actually thought he was one of those providers, you say you go the extra mile for your patients to get to understand who they were. So I kind of understand him. I thought he really, really genuinely, at first I thought he was in love with Alicia, and I thought he genuinely cared about her health. And so she was, in the book setting, was going the extra mile so he could understand, because in his name he was trying to understand her trauma, where she came from, that there's some sort of trauma that is causing her not to talk and blah blah blah. And so he was trying to understand the root cause of it. If you find the root cause of it, they can know how to fix her. That's actually where I thought he was going from. He was looking for the root cause of it.
But Babs, you yourself, you are a medical practitioner, right? That was not ethical what he did.
No, that's what I said in the book.
I know.
He told
us that even in the book. Why I was rooting, but I was.
He said it. He said it.
And the director of the institute was like, Theo, you can't just go running around and asking people questions.
No, Theo knew it was unethical,
and he knew that. Well, when has he ever taken decent advice? We know that now from his track history.
He was pushing it.
So let me ask this then, right? You are using your current, from what I'm getting, this is just me gathering from what you and Nora is saying. You are using your current medical history and thought process to judge the book, that the book is also talking about its own medical processes too. At what point did you separate both, if I may ask? Your personal feelings from the feelings of the book. At what point did you separate both? Because if you are talking about being ethical from the book and being ethical in real life, and I'm listening to what you're saying, and your ethics is the same across board, then you were very heavily invested, and you were kind of a little bit blinded.
Nora, do you want to take this one?
Here's the thing, right? It's a good thing we're reading a book, and it's not my career. Okay, that's it. That's the point. But at the end of the day, this girl is silent. There's just how they didn't know she had a diary until she gave it to them. If we had walked in and that diary was presented on day one, then I would have been like, Theo, sit your butt down. You don't need to go anywhere. Read this girl's diary and get into her mind like that. That would have been it. I would have thought he was crazy if he did any other thing. But we didn't get that diary till later. So I would say he was justified, okay? We needed to get into her brain through all of those people. All of those people were necessary. All those people were guilty to me as well. But they were necessary. I don't care. It's a book, so to me it was justified. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, now. Sorry. Barbara, justify all to let's hear.
No, I agree. I'm like, there was no way he could have gone. He needed to speak to somebody, so he was just going the extra mile. He was putting, in the book, right? He was putting his license on the line because he did say that this is unethical, but I need to understand the rules. So it was justified to me. It gave me a background as to why the woman was acting the way she was, where her trauma came from.
Okay. Well, I just had to, test you guys' license for a bit to see if you guys actually went to school. So, anyways, let's get back to the book. When he mentioned that, remember when, as the story was unfolding, and that last part where he followed both of them. And then Alicia said, his wife, what's her name? Sorry, I forgot her name. But he separated from Gabe, and Gabe went.
Kathy.
There you go, Kathy. Kathy went one way, and Gabe went the other way. And he decided not to follow Kathy, but follow Gabe, and went all the way to Gabe's crib, right? And he stood behind the tree, watching Gabriel's house from behind the tree. So to you guys, and this is probably to Nora and Barbara the most, you were reading, and you stumbled upon that scene. Bam! What was the first thought that came to mind?
An idiot, because I didn't realize that when she was saying somebody was watching me, and then it comes back to the fact that he followed Gabriel, the two didn't connect in my mind, and I'm upset. When I think about it, I'm upset that I still was like, this guy is the savior. I'm upset. That's in this moment, I am upset at myself. That's it.
See, I agree with Nora because I did not put 2 and 2 together, right? Because when they were narrating the story of when Kathy cheated, he was already at the grove. He had gone and seen Alicia, and Alicia had killed her husband. It was not connecting. And so I thought it was somebody completely different that they were talking about. Completely different. It's at the end. Then now I'm reading it the second time. It's clicking in my head like, oh, okay. All right, that's what they meant. But in my defense, at the book, I was reading the book as literally as it was. I'm like, he just came back from the house from the grove. Alicia already killed her husband. So who are they talking about right now? So it was not
messing with my brain.
It was messing with my brain. So that's my that's my defense.
Yeah.
Well, as I was reading this, and being that it's a thriller, right? I kept asking myself, the very first question that kept spinning in my mind is, what does full circle look like in this book, right? When we talk about something coming full circle, what does that look like here? So for me, I kept reading and I was looking for that. But most importantly, when she kept saying this person, I cannot see the face, I only have two people narrating to me here. You know what I mean? I only have two people talking to me here. One person said they cannot see. The other person is talking about somebody who is hiding, watching from afar. I'm like, this nigga not slick. I'm like, this guy is not slick at all. Because why are you watching from afar and talking all this stuff? But most of all, again, what's the thing, that you want to prove to be this righteous person so bad, right? What's that nag? And because you are trying to do that, I feel as though, you're the fuckboy in this whole story. So it just kept Like, it just kept, I'm like, yo, this guy is nuts. There's no way. Something's wrong with this guy. And then, most of all, when him and the shorty, they were doing therapy, I think they were in the courtyard smoking. She was smoking and she said something, and the guy goes, I just wanted to lean in, kiss you, hug you. I'm like, the fuck this guy talking about? Like, bro, you're supposed to be the therapist, the psychotherapist here. Why are you leaning to kiss somebody? And then I was like, ding, ding, ding. There's the idiot watching from afar. Like, anyways, yeah. Back to you, T. Let me ask you this. Did the dual timeline and the diary structure build tension for you, or did it feel like a gimmick?
Oh, it did build tension. I was walking around this house talking to myself like I was crazy because I had my headphones on, and I think just doing stuff around it. I was like, no. When he started following the wife, and then he followed Gabriel to the house and stood out there looking, I was like, this motherfucker. And then he went here, and then he took the diary. I was like, oh no, this cannot be. Why is he doing? When still by myself? So yeah, it did build a lot of suspense without losing the plot. Sometimes they can intertwine things so much and it becomes confusing, but no, the plot kept thickening.
Speaking of plots, getting thicker and thicker, did the trust shutting down the Grove feel like a real institutional critique or just a plot clock? I saying, did it make the story more vibing for you as you read? Did it create more intentionality, I guess, more curiosity, or was it just whatever?
I would say no, but just because when with a thriller, it's easy to make things unbelievable, right? So there had to be some touch of reality. Institutions close all the time. They lose funding, things like that happen. Even I will compare that as well to when Kathy said her friend was coming to town, and Gabriel followed and went and discovered it was actually her friend. So I think those little touches of reality, it helped amplify the thriller. So it was not just everything was just a plot twist. Everything was you run the risk of writing a conspiracy theory book. So I think those were just like normal things that, were brought into the story to, just to balance it out, I would say. I don't think it was inconsequential to the entire plot, in my opinion, but it was nice to be there that, okay, there's actually some normalcy running in the background of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So can I add to that? So the issue with the trust and Theo, right? At the end, like, this is what I put like two and two together. Theo had a vibing career. Like, he was going on a trajectory. He was going up.
Mm-hmm.
Did it make sense for somebody to go and come and enter a sinking ship, which was the question that everybody was asking?
Everybody was asking, right?
That there's a trust that they trust that are going to shut down this place. There's a news and everybody's trying to leave. But why are you trying to go in there? What is your reasoning? So it makes you, I feel like it builds more tension, because now you start getting curious, like, for someone who is going up, your career is supposed to be going up, you were offered, I think he was offered a great opportunity at his old job, but he turned it down and went to the Grove, a place that they have said that it's going to shut down. And so everybody starts questioning, so I'm curious, why are you here? Because even Diomedes asked the same question. Why are you here? Christian too was clear. It was, why are you here? There's a reason. It's not just you're coming to, it's either you're in love. They thought she was in love with Alicia, that's why he came. But it makes you as a reader, like, you start thinking like, this is a good question. For somebody to go up, down, and come, there must be a drastic reason. Why is this man coming in here in this place that is shutting down? So that's like, I thought it was important in the book, in the sense that it just helped build more intensity and makes you just more curious to find out why he went to the Grove.
I mean, in real life, I would like to think or believe that there are people fixers, right? There are fixers who see a problem, and regardless of what it is, as so far they see a problem, all they know is there's a solution to that problem, be it whether the ship is sinking or the ship is not. they'll want to be there, forefront to solve that issue because that's where they get their sting, you know? So to me, I felt as though in this situation, it was one of those things that career-wise, it's not about a sinking ship, because if you can revive this thing, that's where you get, you know, your confidence from, or whatever it is that makes him tick. But two, most importantly, if you can rescue a sinking ship, then 9 out of 10 times you become the pilot, you become the captain of that ship, because now you know what to do with this sinking ship. You know what I mean? I don't see how you go and rescue something and then take it and give it to somebody else.
Yeah, but his reason for going there was not that the trust was closing. It was Alicia.
Of course.
So
of course.
she could have been anywhere else and he still would have gone.
Yeah.
She could have been in Australia. That's why I said to me, I don't know. Alicia was the motivation, not the groove. So
yeah. And it wasn't until later that the real motivation kind of hits, right? Which is you going in to actually see if this woman actually remembers who you are, to see if when she actually will talk, you know, to find out if there are any evidence that will lead back to you other than just her silent. Yeah. So, okay. Back to you, Barbara. What part of this story to you felt undeveloped, underdeveloped, or too convenient, if any?
Actually, I think everything was pretty developed. Every character that hold on. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing somebody, but I think every character was developed. I was gonna say Mark Berenson's wife, but she did what she was supposed to do. She did, yeah, not really. I don't know. I think every character was pretty developed from my point of view, because it gave us an insight as to who Alicia was, Alicia's just how she grew up, the different characters, her cousin, how close she was her cousin, the crazy Jean-Baptiste, whatever his name is, the artist. Like, I think everybody, the author gave us enough to give us a background as to what was going on. So
okay. And to whomever feels like they can take this one, here's a question. Alicia grew up with her father, who literally tells her he wishes she died instead of her mother. Theo grows up with a violent, rage-filled father. Both are shaped by emotional violence long before the murder. The book quietly asks, how much of this is a choice, or how much is inevitable?
How much of what is a choice and how much of what is inevitable?
So prior to murder. Yeah. The murder, how much of it is a choice or how much of it is inevitable? For Alicia's case, the murder is a choice, right? For Theo's case, him becoming a psychotherapist because he went through all of that and he wants to help other people who go through a similar thing, but drops the ball because Gabe smashing his wife fucked his mind. And then now he's going about, he picked Alicia and said, fixated his gaze to her and said, okay, this is now my mission. I'm going to try to heal her or find out if she got something on me, whichever, right? These are all events shaped by their youth, being their father. For Alicia, is her father saying what he said. And then for Theo, is a father being emotionally violent. So how much of this is a choice?
Hold on a second. Can I throw a spoiler?
Shoot. I mean, yeah, go.
Wasn't it Theo who killed Gabriel?
No, it was Alicia.
She actually killed her husband.
She did.
Yeah.
She did.
Gabriel.
She shot that man.
She shot Gabriel, yes, because that's one of the reasons why Theo was so obsessed was that he said he felt guilty that he was there. He went to threaten him because she thought that it was just going to destroy her marriage, just as he destroyed his marriage.
Okay, that was what was going. I got a little confused.
Yes, but he left the gun there. Yeah, he left the gun in there, and what he did not know was that he did not understand that she was going to shoot him. So now he went on this banter that he feels guilty, and so maybe if he understands where her mind was at, he understand why he decided to shoot the husband. So that's where this whole thing came. But she actually
now. Sorry,
he did not leave the gun. He did not take the gun with him. It was never his gun to leave.
It was Gabriel's gun that he left.
Gabriel's gun that he left. Yeah.
Because it was in the kitchen drawer or something. He knew
that it was there.
Because he had been stalking her.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing that just came to my mind, right, is again about like the things that are unhealed from our past. I was wondering why after he went to his therapist's house and she was like, you need to leave your wife. He didn't. Because his mom never left his dad. In all the trauma, his mom stayed. And it just hit me right now. Like, you know you need to leave this woman. She's crazy. And she's cheating on you and it's not good for your mental. So why are you still there? But his mom never left. In all the crazy, in all the domestic violence and physical whatever, his mom stayed. So he was like, she's a trooper. I can fix me and I can fix our marriage. So it's a cycle that just kept on going. And I think that's also what made him even more like, oh, I have to figure out why. Because I decided that I'm going to stick in this. So all I wanted to do was warn you. But then what made you go and shoot the man? Like, it didn't even have to go that deep. Like, why'd you shoot him? So he definitely had to know why she shot him.
Yeah. I mean, if you go and you tie somebody up and you let their significant other know that this is what's been going on, and then you ask them to make a pick, either you or them, and they pick the other person, and you left the gun there.
And then she shoot. That's right. I remember that part now.
That means his own level of craziness is beyond medical fix at this point. Because go ahead. Because
I was gonna say, pause on that part. That man died. He knew how the man died. He went home to his wife because Gabriel was cheating on Alicia with the therapist's wife, with Theo's wife. He went home. That type of thing where you say you are sad because your girlfriend broke up with you, but you cannot say anything because your wife is home. He comes home to the wife. The wife is now in depression because the love of her life has died. And he's sitting quiet when he knows what's working, and he's there saying he will nurse her to heal. I was like, this is a different kind of manipulation I have ever seen in my life.
And through all of that, he will not walk away. That's the funny part.
Oh,
yeah.
It
kind of hit when he said, man, I did all of this just for her to be the same as Alicia. I was like, damn.
Right. Just for her to end up being depressed over a guy who
I'm like, yo, my guy, you cannot win. You cannot win in this story. You just cannot win. Every turn you make, man, you gain L's upon L's. The only win you have is getting that therapist degree, I guess.
That was crazy.
But yeah. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you land, and what keeps it from being a perfect 10 if it's not a 10? This book, Nora.
I would give this book a solid 9. I loved it. I think if I had read it like a second time, I would have caught on to like all the bombs that they were trying to drop early for me. So I feel like it's just myself. Like, girl, why didn't you get it? Like, come on. They were giving it to you. They were trying to hit it hard and give you all the clues, and you just missed it. But I really liked it. In the end, everything came together. I love the fact that you really saw the twists and turns, and you really suspected everybody. You couldn't really pinpoint like who and or why. And it's that infidelity sucks. Okay, don't be cheating on your spouses because then people die. Like, don't do it. Just don't do it. Yeah, I'm giving this book a solid 9.
Nice. Barbara, what about you?
Now I give the book a 10. I loved every part of the book, mainly because it just kept me on edge. I could not figure out who was who and what was what. Like, when he found the spouse, remember he got high and then he found that his spouse was cheating and he got sober. And after that, I was like, oh, crappy sake, I can't. Like, these things sober me up. I was just curious. And so just the twists and the turns, and it's just the fact that I could not figure out who did what until the end. Even when I found out it was Theo that did it, I still did not figure out. And then when I found out Alicia was the one that actually killed her husband, I was like, oh, shit. No, it's a good read. It's a 10. Like, I recommend it. You have to read it. It's a 10. It's a 10. It's a 10 for me.
Okay.
So couldn't figure out why he went so far as to like shoot her up with the morphine though. Like, sis, it's not. See,
understand that part. I kind of understood, right? Because she started coming back.
But all you did was like stop somebody. You didn't actually kill the guy. That was her. You like
but that would have put him at the crime scene. And he did not want that.
He did not want it.
But in the end, you still didn't do it. Like it was another thing that you're guilty for. Like you could still come back from that. You actually didn't do the do. Like
right. Like if she did not say that she knew you from the beginning, I mean,
can we talk about speaking about that, right?
The
first therapy session where he asked Alicia that stupid question and she whooped his ass. I'm like, can you imagine you sitting in front of the maker and you tell me what's on your mind when she lowered the doors and asking her those stupid questions? Yeah. And she whooped it. I'm like, the second time I read the book, I was like, yeah, he deserved that whooping. She should have bashed his head off. Like, because she just kept looking at him when he was asking the questions. But the book, she just kept staring at him like, are you serious right now? Like, you're really asking me this shit, like right now. But yeah.
Okay. Would you recommend? Well, yeah, I guess everybody would recommend.
No, wait, first. Me, I've not given my
Sorry. Go
I'm
ahead.
mad. So I will score the book 8 on 10 because I'm mad. And I'll say why I'm mad. It's a lovely book. The book on its own is a 10. But my rating is 8. I'll tell you why. Everything unraveled in one chapter. It was too much. That last chapter, it was like but everything was just unraveled. I was like, slow down. Like, you should have added at least one more chapter and ease into everything unraveling. Like, this person was selling drugs. This one came and the police came and they've took her and they've done this and I'm like, what is happening?
I suspected him. He was just doing too much. I suspected a nurse too. So anyway,
I was like, that's my only reason. I was mad. I was like, you took time and explained the story unravel. Now where we have come to the crux of the matter is just and then end. No closure. Now, did Alicia die? Did she survive? Will she live? Will she die? Is she like something? Did they close the groove? Give me something. It's just
in the end, I felt bad for the Gabriel's brother though. Like he was really devastated when they told her she was in a coma. Like you suck, but he could just tell he just felt like one day she was gonna somehow get out of jail for murder, and he was gonna be able to love her wholeheartedly. Like that's what I was getting for him. I was like, "What's wrong with you? Get your life together. Why are you crying like a baby? Like you're a grown man with a wife." I felt really bad for him. It was really
that was
sad.
the love of his
It
life.
was the love of Alicia was the love of his life, and I was like, this man is on a different level than the Lulu that I don't understand.
He was so sad. Oh my gosh.
Don't let your wife stop you from finding the love of your life. Yeah, that shit is real. I'm telling you.
That's crazy. In conclusion, well, not in conclusion, but as we're winding down here, what are you guys' conclusion to the book in general, right? I know we talked about if you recommend it. We talked about how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? But personally, right, when you finish reading the book, what was the feeling you got? I know it's a thriller, but let's just say, for example, you're thinking about it and you're putting your emotions into it, right? What was that feeling like for you? I guess, yeah, Nora, back to you first.
For me, it was just the whole infidelity thing. Like that, I think that's really where, I think that's like the mountain, right? That kind of makes everything crumble. Because she had childhood trauma. That was all she had for was a husband who she thought loved her and could love her through her trauma. But that wasn't real. And because that wasn't real, then it ended up just ruining her life. You know, he was cheating. Maybe she could have been okay with him cheating, but because then the other person in this infidelity, Gabriel also has the child. I'm sorry, Theo also has the matter where your wife is cheating you only because your own childhood trauma. Your mom stays in an abusive relationship, so then you're like, I'm gonna fix it. And instead of you just dealing, you end up becoming a stalker, and now you brought your own thing into somebody else's house who maybe she would have been okay with her husband sleeping around and she never found out. let her be in the Lululand. Like, leave her alone, you know? But that just didn't happen because people are cheating and man, that sucks. I think that was like the whole thing for me. That was like, people have trauma, but sleeping around really messes stuff up. And it ends up killing people. So yeah, that's really what I ended up thinking about in all this, in this book at the end. I was like, don't cheat on your spouse, don't people back.
Okay. Therese, what about you?
To me, it was a lot of paranoia. Just to say that you see people walking around, they are not okay. This man is a whole psychotherapist. He was the craziest of them all. And it's just like, I start looking at everybody sideways. You know, it's like, okay, so who is going to be the stalker? You know, so you can actually nothing is above anybody. And they just be walking around here normal, and you invite people into your home and you invite people into your life, and it's just, I'm like, oh Lord, I hope I don't come across any of this kind of craziness. And if I do, I hope I can spot it from a mile away. You know, can you imagine being the reason you're in depression and the person closest to you is the reason why you're in depression, and they're just looking at you, smiling or laughing, or just, you know what, I would rather keep her down than set her free. Throw the whole book away. We read it first though before you throw it away.
Okay, now. Barbara, what's your own?
I think for me, it highlights this thing about trauma. Like, everybody has some sort of trauma that drives, because for Alicia, if you look at her entire life story, I think it was quite interesting. And even the main character, Theo, everybody has some form of trauma. Like, her mother tried to kill her when they were young. Her dad wished it was her that had died, not her mother. Her aunt was horrible to her, very, very horrible and nasty to her. So she had to leave. The artist that she was working wanted something for her, was abusing her, and it was doing that. Gets married to a man that she thought loved her, was hers, but it turns out the man was not faithful to her at the end of the day. And so everything and then she's had multiple episodes of her trying to kill herself. When it comes to her shooting her husband, you can just understand that she had like a trigger. Like, it was just, even though she had seen therapy, she was writing her journal, so just the trigger just set her off. Theo, on the other side, had very resolved trauma, which Nora kind of like highlighted. Alicia's cousin had trauma. Max Berenson had trauma. He had an inferiority complex to his brother. He was jealous of his brother. Wanted what his brother wanted. Everybody has some form of trauma that drives how they act and the things that they do and how they go about the way. So it was kind of intriguing to see. I think it was just highlighting the fact that most people don't need a lot of therapy, though. And often you never know what people are going through or what they have gone through. And so when you do something to them, you don't know what you're triggering. And Alicia's own came in full force, and so did Theo. But yeah.
All right. Let's play a fun game. Questions and answers, right? I'll ask you guys some, a few questions, and then you just shoot, your answer. No multiple choice, just, yeah. So, first one, Barbara. According to the case files, how many times was Gabriel shot in the face?
Hey, I don't remember. 3 times?
5 times. Okay.
And then the lie, I would say.
Sorry?
And then Alicia lied. That was her lie when she finally started talking. She was like, "Yeah, and shot 6 times."
Yeah. All right. Nora, since you have your mic on mute, you might as well take this one. What is Alicia's profession before the murder of her husband?
She was a painter. Oh, it was specifically like hyper realistic or something. Yeah, Yeah,
painter. Yep. And then what was Gabriel's team? What was his profession?
He was a cheater. What else?
That's a good one. That's a good one. A serial one at that. Very serial. Busy in the bushes. But yeah. Oh, do you remember his profession?
I couldn't remember his profession. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
That was the only thing that came to me.
He was a photographer.
Yeah, he was a fashion photographer.
All right. See, he was very forgettable.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Barbara, what's the name of the secure psychiatric unit where Alicia is held?
The Grove?
Wait, let me ask that again. What is the name of the secure psychiatric unit where Alicia is held. Yeah, the grove. Okay, you got that one.
Yeah, it was a grove. Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading the wrong question I had the right answer in mind, but to the wrong question. So here's my question I was really trying to ask. Which Greek myth did Alicia reference in the title of her final self-portrait?
They're Celsius.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay. T, what is the central mystery of the Alcestis myth after her return from the dead?
I don't know, me. Something about maggots and some, I don't know. I cannot remember.
Silence.
Oh,
Why?
I don't know where I got maggots from.
The painting had maggots. Like the painting,
Oh, okay.
the painting
See?
had maggots in it. It was a part of it at the piece.
Okay. Yeah, I think you guys will get the remainder of this one. So
No, give me one. Let me redeem myself. I cannot be here. I don't answer everyone correct.
okay. Who was Theo's long-term therapist and mentor?
Oh, the
You remember?
what's this mommy's name?
Starts on R.
Was it R?
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say Edith.
No, R. She's in the Bible too.
It's
Ruth.
a book.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, and then back to you again. What was the primary source of Theo's childhood anxiety and trauma?
His father.
Yeah, that nigga. Okay, and then yeah, I think that's it, man. We've pretty much discussed about all my rapid fire questions. So conclusions. Any conclusions to this book, guys? Any other conclusions that you haven't mentioned?
You know what I was thinking about when they described like Alicia and Gabriel in the beginning. I expected them to live in this like big house with like a veranda. Like I expected fanciness from their house, right? So I think that's why when Theo was following Gabriel and they described the house as like they described it as like just a basic looking house. I think that's why they didn't put two and two together. Because if you're a painter, you have the brush out, you're doing this, I just had a picture of their house as something like grand. So when it came, the two didn't connect because I had two different pictures of what I thought their lifestyle was, as opposed to like how they just brought it in when he went home and kissed his wife in some random the two. Yeah, I think that was also part of why I didn't get the fact that it might have been him.
Right. Also, the fact that this person kept standing outside the house, but nobody else could see. I was like, this must be. It gave the illusion of a very big compound.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how is nobody else seeing? The neighbors are not seeing the cat. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then most of all, the guy finally comes into the house and at first holding a knife and then finds a gun. At what point did he know that there was a gun in there? When did he get into the house to know there was a gun? I mean, anyways, I had all these different questions too. But
that would have not been too hard to find, right? He probably was snooping around. The gun was just in the kitchen, one of the kitchen drawers. So
yeah, there might be a few less drawers than I'm thinking in my head. Then well, you said the house is not big too, so we're all thinking minimal at this point. But for the inheritance that Max was trying to get, it just didn't make sense. But yeah, yeah. And then to the nerve on one person, your brother's wife is the one you want to go collect. Okay. Anyways, what are we reading next, y'all? What are we reading next? Oh yeah, we're reading Year of Yes.
Yes.
By Shonda Rhimes. Year of Yes. So this who recommended this book? Who's your Year of Yes? I mean, whose year is yes?
That's money.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. So shout out to Year of Yes. You guys pick that up. We'll be recording the last Saturday of this month, I believe. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. I don't know. That name sounds familiar. I should know who this is.
Yeah, Shonda Rhimes own half of NBC on Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
She made Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, Bridgerton.
Sounds familiar. Okay. You guys know who wrote Harry Potter?
J.K. Rowling.
Somebody.
Okay, cool. Just checking. But yeah, thank you guys. If you made it this far, you're a real one. Hopefully you pick up the book. No, hopefully you should actually pick up the book, man. Read the book. Get some spiciness in your life. If your life is non-spicy, I know some of you cannot eat spicy food, but at least this is what you can come close to. Read the book so you can put some spice in your world, and let us know what you think. From the characters, the storyline. Did you know who the killer was prior to the end of the book? Right. All these different questions that we've been posing and that we've been unpacking here. Hopefully, you ask yourself the same questions and you're able to get to the end of the story. In good graces and in excitement. Again, the book is The Silent Patient by I'll tell you here in a bit. By
Alex Michaelides.
There you go. That guy. Shout out to him, man. You wrote a real one. You wrote a real one. Again, check us out on SITM Podcast or subscribe to SITM Podcast for monthly notifications on book club specifically if you're into that. And if you're also wanting to join a book club to read books on a monthly basis, feel free to reach out to us, man. Join us on this adventure. And learn a thing or two every month. Why not? T is here, Faber is here, Nora is here. Shout out to Mane and Josie. They couldn't make this one for XYZ reasons, which we'll not tell you guys. But we out. Peace.